Welcome, everybody, to the NFL Prediction Show. We are at week 3, where we'll pick all the games against the spread. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I want to welcome in my co-host, first up, 1981 national champion, Steve Risley. How you doing,
Doing great
Steve?
today, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Well, why wouldn't I have you? You're always on here with us. And, of course, NFL beat writer, Dan Kornhauser. How you doing, Dan?
What's up, guys? You guys ready for week 3? I mean, I'm still trying to
We
get
are ready. It's the NFL, and every year there's 3 or 4 teams that shouldn't be there, and there's 3 or 4 teams you think will be there that aren't. But I want to remind everybody before we start off, check out PointsBet to bet all the games this week. That's our highly recommended sportsbook for betting week 3 of the NFL season. Also, The Grueling Truth is powered by betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding the online casino or sportsbook that's right for you. Check them out at betting.net. All right, Dan, how'd we do in week 2? It had to be better than week 1.
No, it was just as ugly all across the board. I got 6 right. Mike, you got 7. Steve got 5.
Okay, so that means I'm winning, so that's all that matters.
For now, yes. You've taken a 1-game lead.
For now. I'm going to go ahead and make this prediction now. This year, I don't think either one of you will get within 10 games of me by the time we're done.
Disrespectful.
That's what happens when you're the champ 8 straight years. All right, we're going to start off with Thursday Night Football. We've got the T.J. Wattless Pittsburgh Steelers against the Deshaun Watson Wattless Cleveland Browns. This is a matchup. The Cleveland Browns are favored by 5 points. When you look at this game, Steve, no T.J. Watt makes me wonder how much of a shot the Steelers have in any game they don't have him. But the Cleveland Browns completely crapped on themselves in the last couple minutes against the Jets. Ended up blowing a 2-touchdown lead in the last 2 minutes. What do you think here? The Browns are favored by 5.
I don't know. 5 points is a lot to give up. I think this is a pretty well a pick-em game to begin with. I'm not sure any one team's any better than the other. But to give up 5 points is an awful lot. I'm going to take Pittsburgh and take the points.
All right, I'm going to take Cleveland just because I don't know how Pittsburgh's going to beat anybody without Watt. Watt changes games. I mean, Watt's why they won week 1 against Cincinnati. And right now, Mitchell Trubisky looks like he's afraid to take any chances. I think it's only a matter of time before you get Kenny Pickett. And plus, with the Browns, Jacoby Brissett has played well. Wasn't his fault they lost last week. And you've still got Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt running the ball. I think they could succeed against Pittsburgh's front 7. I think Cleveland has one of the best offensive lines in football. I'm going to give the 5 points and go with the Browns, Dan.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cleveland as well on this. 5 is a little scary just because, honestly, I don't really think this Cleveland team is anything special at this point. They really haven't.
Yeah, but how about this? Do you see a way Pittsburgh can score like more than 14 or 17 points?
I mean, they could if Trubisky's better. They have weapons. It's not that they're devoid of talent at the offensive skill positions. They just need to be better.
But they're devoid of talent at quarterback and offensive line.
Yeah, the offensive line is ugly. And besides Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick was added to the injury report with some lower leg issue. And Devin Bush was limited as well with a foot injury. So the Steelers are the walk-on wounded on defense. And I expect Cleveland just to run it down their throats.
All right, next up, we got the Green Bay Packers at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is a possible NFC Championship game preview, or neither one will make the playoffs the way they look right now because the Bucs have a ton of injuries. The Packers don't have a number 1 receiver. You know, they've had a little bit of trouble on offense. Right now, the Bucs are favored by 2.5, Dan.
Tampa Bay, 2.5.
And I think the Cole Beasley signing was brilliant.
Oh, yeah. The Cole Beasley signing was a huge signing for them. I know there was a bunch of teams that were in on Beasley. And he's a solid addition for this team that's really wounded at receiver, and going to be without Mike Evans because of the suspension from his dumbass fight with Lattimore. I don't know what these guys' beef is with each other, but it cost them a game, and it's going to cost his team. It's going to cost his team this week. I'm going to pick New Orleans. I'm going to pick Green Bay.
You've got to pick them. Remember, Steve, whoever you pick it first is who you got.
All right. I'm picking Green Bay. I know it's Tampa Bay. I know it's Tom Brady. I know how good they are still on defense. But I don't know if Tom's going to be able to overcome these issues at wide receiver. There's no Godwin. There's no Evans. I don't even know if Gage is playing, but even if Gage is playing, gross. There's no Julio Jones. Yeah, you signed Beasley, and he's a great piece, but how quick he's going to get up to speed. And on the flip side, Green Bay showed out. That's the Green Bay team that I was expecting. That's the Green Bay team that I think a lot of people were expecting this past week against. And
they showed out. They really, with a decent officiating, that's a 24-17 game late in the fourth quarter against the Bears.
It wasn't, though.
I know. But, all right, so you're taking Green Bay?
Yep.
All right, Steve, who do you got here? Bucks bite 2.5.
Tampa Bay.
Okay, I'm going to go with Tampa Bay, too, because of this. I think Tampa Bay still got enough on defense to shut down this offense a little bit. The Packers got back to the basics of their defense and their running game, but I'm going to go with the Bucks right now. I think both of these teams mirror each other with the injuries because they both have line and receiver issues. So I'm going to go with Tom Brady when everything else is in doubt at this point. Next up, the Detroit Lions will play the Minnesota Vikings, and the winner will be at least tied for first place, Dan. So we'll let you go first since it's your team. The Vikings are favored by 7. This is Detroit's first game on the road. What do you think?
I'm stuck because on one hand, I still don't want to buy that the Detroit Lions are anything better than what I thought they were coming into the season, which is not quite right. And on the flip side, Minnesota is coming off of a tough loss. They looked awful against Philadelphia. They couldn't get anything going on offense. I lost my fantasy matchup because I had Jefferson, who did nothing, and I had Cook, who did nothing. But, man, that was an ugly show on national TV. Kirk Cousins was, as Kirk Cousins always doesn't show up in prime time, doesn't show up in big games. And they lost, and they should be embarrassed. So on one end, I don't want to pick the Lions because I think they suck. On the other end, Minnesota looks deflated after that week 2 losses against Philadelphia. So I don't know what to do. The line is ugly. This might bite me in the ass because I could definitely see Minnesota winning by a couple touchdowns, playing pissed off. Cook and Jefferson go off. But I'm going to go with Detroit, and I'm going to hope for the best.
All right, so my question is this. At the start of the season, what was our knock on Minnesota? It was that the defense was not that good, correct?
And that Kirk Cousins was pretty average. But, yeah, it was pretty much the defense was the big question mark.
Yeah, so when I look at this, I think DeAndre Swift, really good running back. I think that the Lions could actually win this division. But I'm going to take Minnesota, and I'm going to give the 7 points in this game because I think Minnesota didn't show up against Philadelphia. So they're going to be a little angry. Hold on. Right of Jameis Winston. Well, his name's not Jameis, just like Jacoby Brissett. It's not Jacoby Brissett. You were right for one game. The overall thing, if you look at him last year, was that it's one game, and we'll see. But I don't even remember what hell game we're talking about now. Thanks a lot, Dan. But, and I don't mean you, Dan. I mean the one that asked the question. But the Vikings-Lions, I'm going to go with the Vikings because I think maybe the Lions are a little too happy. The Vikings are a little pissed off. I think the Vikings win this game by 10 to 14 points. What do you think, Steve?
I think Detroit's just continuing to rise. I think their coach is really pushing them upward and keeping them motivated. 7 points is a lot. Playing in Detroit, I'm going to take Detroit on this one.
Ooh, Steve's riding that Detroit train the rest of the year, I think.
We'll see.
A Detroit train usually ends up in getting shot. All right, so next up, we've got the Cowboys against the Giants. The Giants are by 2.5 points. I will start this off. I mean, I think a whole lot's been made about Cooper Rush. I mean, let's face it. Cooper Rush scored 2 touchdowns early against the Bengals. Basically did nothing else the rest of the game. I like the New York Giants because I think the New York Giants have a culture change in effect with Brian DeBall. Daniel Jones is limited as a passer. And I'll tell you this, Micah Parsons is the closest thing to Lawrence Taylor I've seen since Lawrence Taylor. Not saying he's Lawrence Taylor because I don't think anybody ever can be. But I think this is a good chance for the Cowboys to ride Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard in a run game more. But there's something about this team. I know they haven't really beat the best competition yet, but it's still the NFL. They're doing enough to win. They're favored by 2.5 points. It's on Monday night. I'm going to go with the Giants here, Steve. What do you think?
It's a really tough call. What's the spread?
2.5 points.
Game's at Dallas, right?
No, it's in New York.
No,
It's in New York? Oh, no brainer. I'm taking the Giants.
All right. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, you know what? We are all in lockstep on this one. And for me, it's mostly because it's Cooper Rush. Daniel Jones isn't anything special, but it's Cooper Rush. So let's be real.
Yeah.
Plus, hopefully, Kayvon Thibodeau comes back this week. Same thing with Azeez Ojulari. Both those guys have been missing time with different injuries, but they're both questionable as of Monday. I don't know if that's changed today, but hopefully they play. And if they do, that'd be a big boost for that defense because Leonard Williams is also questionable with his own knee injury that he suffered last week. So it could be a little tight on defense if these guys don't end up playing. But if they do, Dallas will be in trouble.
All right, the game I'm really looking forward to. The Bills at the Miami Dolphins, Dan. The Bills are actually getting 4.5 points at home. What do you think?
No, Bills at Miami. So it's what? Buffalo by 6 or by 4.5?
Buffalo, right now it's 4.5.
I'm gonna go with Buffalo because I think they could very well beat Miami by at least a touchdown. Buffalo's red hot. I mean, maybe they're too hot too early, but it shouldn't really matter. If you're a great team, if you're a Super Bowl contender, you're gonna be good all season. This team's gonna win 13, 14 games at this rate. And Miami was great against Baltimore, but I think that was more Baltimore dropping the ball on defense and their defense falling apart than it was Miami, being some offensive juggernaut.
Yeah, but the thing is this, Miami had trouble defensively against Baltimore, but in the fourth quarter they didn't. So this wasn't just a Baltimore defensive collapse. The Baltimore offense was unable to run the ball, which is really weird for them. And I know they're missing their best running back. They're waiting to get back from an injury. He's been out for a while, J.K. Dobbins. Mm-hmm. But to me, I mean, when it was nut crunching time, as they say, in the fourth quarter, the Dolphins defense stepped up also because you don't come back from 3 touchdowns down in the fourth quarter without playing defense also.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. But that was a very dramatic game. That took everything Miami had. And I wonder if they're going to have anything left for a division rivalry game against maybe the best team in the league.
Yeah, and when I look at it, I'm going with Buffalo also. The Bills did play Monday night in a physical game. It's the Titans, even though you blow them out. But now you're going to face the September Heat in Miami, which would worry me. But on the other side with the Dolphins, as you said, a 35-14 comeback win, it's hard to repeat the effort after you give that effort and that emotion. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills and give the 4.5 points. Steve?
Yeah. Buffalo's got too much firepower on offense. And Von Miller has ignited that defense, and they're playing almost mistake-free right now. Josh Allen right now may be the best quarterback in the AFC.
No, he's the quarterback in the NFL right now.
Okay, all right.
I mean, he's playing his ass.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
But, I definitely think that Buffalo's going to win this game handily.
I think it'll be close. But I really think it'll be a little bit of a hangover from the week before. I think you end up with something like 38-28. I think the Bills will win this division. Miami will be probably the number 1 wild card. I think the difference between the two teams to me is just on defense. I think Buffalo is a better defensive team. All right, next up, we've got what I think is the lock of the week, the Ravens at the Patriots. And the Ravens are only favored by 3 points. And I mean, I just don't think, and every time I look at this, everybody picks the final score of like 24-20. I mean, the Patriots don't have the receivers to keep the Ravens secondary from doing it. I mean, the Ravens secondary is going to dominate them. Mac Jones should not be the quarterback. It should be Bailey Zappi. Don't forget I said that, Dan. I said that a month ago, too.
You said that in the offseason.
I know. And I think there's enough holes in the New England defense that I think Lamar Jackson is going to look like a Hall of Fame quarterback this week. And I think John Harbaugh's team wins this game. I think the Ravens win this game by 3 touchdowns. I would bet my house, because it's not that nice of a house, on the Ravens with the -3. Dan?
I agree wholeheartedly. This is the Lamar Jackson that I wanted to see because
you know why, Dan? Because they've got no running game right now. He has to throw.
But this is the Lamar Jackson that I wanted to see. This is the Lamar Jackson that I expected to see because I heard the chatter last year and like we touched on this.
Wait, Dan, because last year, about 7 weeks through the season, the Ravens were 5-1, and you were sitting here telling us how Lamar Jackson should be the MVP.
Yep.
And a few weeks later, he goes in a crapper. Then he gets hurt. So let's wait and see. It's early.
Well, it's early, but he's looking like he did when he won the MVP a few years ago. And if he keeps doing what he's doing, even without the ground game, if he's just going to carry it, I'll keep riding the man. I'm going to go Baltimore. I don't think it's going to be close.
Steve, what do you think? Ravens and Patriots. Patriots get 3 points.
Ravens.
Easy. So that's 3 games in a row. We all picked the same team.
Is this a game, no, Steve, or do you think it's a blowout?
Well, Lamar Jackson's been playing great, but he's still right now, to me, a wild card. You don't know. He could revert back to his old self real easily. And but I don't think the Patriots have anything to stop him one way or another. He's playing great football right now.
See, I think the biggest issue, Steve, is I don't think the Patriots have anything on offense to do anything to the Ravens.
Right. Defense.
Yeah, because Bill Belichick may come up with a great game plan, but when you're 3 and out,
I mean,
it doesn't. But it doesn't scare me because I don't think the Patriots have the offense where they could score more than 14 or 17 points.
Yeah, but we'll all agree that Belichick's the best coach in the NFL still. And when you got that kind of mentality, putting together a game plan, it's always scary to see what he can come up with. But you're right; he doesn't have the manpower, but he's got the brain power. But I think Jackson or Leonard Thompson.
Yeah, Leonard. I can't wait until Leonard Thompson plays Jacoby Brissett. All right, next up.
So yeah, I got the Ravens.
That'll be like Montana versus Elway back in the day. All right, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna look forward. We'll let Steve go first here because we got the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Indianapolis to play the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are getting 6.5 points, and before we get Steve's pick, remember, it's not just sports betting. Betting.net compares the best online casinos. Sit back, relax, play the top online slots, poker, and table games at betting.net. Go ahead, Steve. 6.5 points. Can you cover?
Well, no, they cannot cover. I do not believe so. Their defensive secondary is just too young, too porous, letting everything through. Somebody tell me, did Darius Leonard change his name to Shaquille?
Yes, he did.
Why did he do that?
I don't know. There's an actual reason for it, but I honestly don't know what it is.
Okay, because I kept hearing all this. I'm in L.A., so I don't get a lot of Colts news, and I'm hearing Shaquille Leonard is out. Well, okay, who the hell? We got Darius Leonard, so I guess we got 2 Leonards. Where the hell's Darius Leonard? And then they keep showing highlights of Shaquille Leonard wearing 53. I'm thinking, that's Darius Leonard. I'm thinking, what the hell? Did the guy change his name? So, okay, so now Darius is now Shaquille. It ain't going to help anything. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So Leonard revealed his middle name is Shaquille, but that it's the name he's gone by since childhood, and therefore is the one he's more comfortable being called.
But don't you think his name was, or he was a better player when his name was Darius?
I think so.
I mean, you're not wrong. But
all right,
we haven't seen him play as Shaquille yet.
So his name is Darius Leonard. He didn't change his name. He's just going by Shaquille, his middle name.
All right. Is he back yet?
Oh, now we're asking too many questions.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't know?
It looks like he's
He had a full practice today. So He's listed as questionable, but it's a good start that he had a full practice today. So did Alec Pierce.
Yeah, and remember this: they need Alec Pierce badly because now you've got Michael Pittman injured. So the question is, can the Colts score enough points? Because I do think this. I think Jonathan Taylor could have a big game here and keep this game close.
You're not going to have a big game if the offensive line doesn't live up to half of their reputation. I mean, watching them play their last game against Jacksonville, they couldn't punch holes for anything. I mean, JT got 60 yards on his own, and every one of those 60 yards was on his own. With a defense that was keyed on him, there was no holes punched for him anywhere whatsoever. I think this is an easy win for Kansas City. So for betting purposes, I think you should take Kansas City. But I'm a hometown homer. I'm taking the points and taking the Colts. I know. I'm giving this one away, but I'm not going to ever give up.
Well, maybe not, because there's been much bigger upsets this year than 6.5 point underdogs.
Yeah, but I think it's 6.5 is not even close. When I saw the spread on this, I'm thinking I expected the spread to be double figures.
Well, remember this too, though. I mean, the Chiefs have come off playing really well the last 2 games.
Yeah,
they've had a little bit longer stretch. Maybe they're a little happy, but yeah, I'm going to not agree with Steve. I'm going to take the Chiefs. No. I'm going to give this 6.5 points, Dan.
Yeah, I'm going to take Kansas City as well. Patrick Mahomes is red hot. I don't think that's going to stop now. No. And Indianapolis, I don't know what their problem is, but they got to figure this shit out quick.
General manager and coaching.
Well, lack of players, which is the general manager's fault.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got the Cincinnati Bengals at the New York Jets. The Jets are plus 4.5. The Jets are coming off a huge win. The Bengals are a mess because they're coached by a 12-year-old. What do you think, Dan?
I mean, I am wearing my Bengals jersey. I'm wearing my Joe Burrow tonight. And I want to pick Cincinnati, but I don't know if I can trust them, man. They are the better team, at least on paper. You know, they have the better quarterback. They have the better offensive weapons. They have the better running game. But they should have the better defense.
The issue is the coaching.
But damn, dude, Burrow's getting killed. They're running the ball a lot, and it's not doing anything because Mixon's not doing anything on the ground. But I think he leads the league in attempts. So they're trying to run the ball, but it's not doing anything for them.
Well, it's hard to run the ball when your offense is not vertical, but it's horizontal. I don't know why it's horizontal. I don't know why you get Hayden Hurst and never run him on a seam route. I mean, there's a lot of things here that really amaze me. And the thing is, this team went to the Super Bowl last year and had the same issues. The O-line was bad. The play calling was bad. The difference between this year and last year is this. In those last 5 games, the Bengals usually got 2 or 3 key turnovers, usually interceptions, like they did against Ryan Tannehill. You know, you had a couple bounces go their way. It's the same team. They're not getting the lucky bounces that they got last year because you almost never do when you live off of turnovers. But last year, they made it to the Super Bowl because of the defense and the kicking game. It wasn't the offense. The offense, those last 4 games in the playoffs and Super Bowl, but the most they scored was 27, and that was in overtime. I think their last 6 of their last 7 games have been decided by 3 points. And up until the Super Bowl, they won them all. Since then, they've lost them all. So there's issues there, and I think the issues could be solved just by calling Sean Payton.
I mean, why wouldn't he take that job other than it's, Cincinnati? But
no, it's not Cincinnati. It's Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. I'm sure Sean Payton could do something with that. Wait a second, Dan. New Orleans, when Sean Payton took that job, was probably a worse place to go than Cincinnati. I mean, New Orleans, in the history of their franchise before Payton got there, I think had won 1 playoff game.
Yeah, they were, as far as I remember, when middle school, high school, even early college, they were pretty butt.
Yeah, if you remember it like me and Steve do, which would be the 70s and 80s, they were beyond butt. They were ass.
That too. But I'm going to go with the Jets, even though I think Cincinnati is probably going to win this game. I just don't trust them right now. They got to get that trust back, and it starts this week. But I don't like the 4.5. I'm going to go
Well,
for Jets.
I can tell you this. I think the one thing that helps is the way the Jets beat them last year when nobody expected that. You remember Mike White jumps up.
Mhm.
I think their backs against the wall. The big thing here to me is the Jets. As I talked about Miami, they had that miraculous comeback at the end of the game. You get a little happy. It's really hard to get on to the next week.
Mm.
I'm going to take the Bengals, but I think the Bengals win the game by like 7 points because there's major coaching issues there. Steve?
Mhm.
Mike, I agree with you. I don't think Joe Burrow is going to let this team go 0-3.
Yeah, but the problem is Joe Burrow's not calling the plays. He should
But
be.
Joe Burrow's got talent. He's got incredible talent to work with what they give him. And I think the Bengals are going to step it up this week. And, I can't bet against the Bengals right now. And Flacco's unpredictable. I mean, he's just unpredictable.
He's old.
Yeah, he's old. Yeah, all
Some
old
day,
quarterbacks.
Steve, some days you wake up and you feel good, and some days you wake up and you just lay in bed for a couple hours.
Yep, with my 65-inch big screen TV laying in my bedroom. Oh, I got to watch Regis and Kathy Lee there.
All right.
Old.
Regis and Kathy Lee. Regis died years ago, Steve.
Oh, okay, whoever it is. Ryan Seacrest and Kelly.
Yeah, that's horrible.
I know.
And Seacrest. Hey,
Then
why don't you be quiet? There's nothing wrong with Regis and Kathy Lee. I don't like either one of them.
Then Price is Right, and then Young and the Restless.
Oh, Steve, you are old then. Stop. You're just making yourself older.
Oldest ever.
I'm going to take the Bengals and give up the points and take the Bengals.
All right, next up, we have another no-brainer bet your house. Raiders at Titans. Titans +1. I'll take the Raiders. What do you think, Steve?
Raiders at Titans.
Yeah.
Oh, they're playing in Tennessee.
Here we go.
What's the spread?
1.
Just 1.
The Raiders are favored by 1.
I got to take the Raiders.
Yeah, because the Titans have been, as some of our friends would term it, Steve, ass or butt or trash or disgusting. Dan, what do you think?
I mean, Tennessee getting blown out by Buffalo. You can't really, you shouldn't be surprised because it is Tennessee and it was Buffalo.
How they got blown out.
But yeah, Derrick Henry did nothing.
That's a Tennessee team that's given Buffalo trouble the last few years.
And they did nothing. It was an ugly loss. But
when you get rid of A.J. Brown, it's hard to throw the ball.
Yeah, and you replace him with a receiver who needs a lot of seasoning and is not ready to step into that spot. And you add a guy coming off of, I think he was coming off torn ACL in Robert Woods, who's doing nothing. This Tennessee team is in trouble. They lost their best defensive player for the season before the season began. Their offense is struggling, and that's saying it nicely. I don't know what's going on with this Tennessee team, but this is a totally different team than the one that we saw last year. Because even when they lost Derrick Henry, this team still showed fight. They still won games. And they still won without Derrick Henry, literally their whole offense. And it wasn't because Tannehill was lighting the wall up. But this isn't that same Tennessee team. And it's ugly. It could only get uglier. I'm going to take Vegas.
All right now, betting.net finds the best promotions, bonus offer codes, so you don't have to. Head over now to their website to take advantage of things like free bets and matching deposits. Next up, we've got the Washington Commanders hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. The Commanders are getting 4 points, Steve.
Boy, I tell you what, the Eagles look good.
I think they're the best team in the NFC right now.
Yeah, they look very strong, and I still think, although Wentz, again, doing what I thought he'd do, he's having a much better year than he had in Indianapolis. But I think Philadelphia is just on a juggernaut right now. Like you said, you think they're the best team in the NFC. I think they're good. I'm not sure they're the best team. They're playing the best football right now. So I'm going to go with Philadelphia on this one, give up the points.
All right. I think A.J. Brown will have his way with the Commanders. And I think that Jalen Hurts has played well so far. I think that they will rack up the yards on a running game. I think Wentz and Washington have some firepower, but I think Philadelphia has some real defensive holes, which they need to really shore up. Being called the best team in the NFC makes them probably about the 6th or 7th best team in the AFC. So you've got that. I think the Eagles win this game by a touchdown, Dan.
Yeah, this is another one we're all lockstep in. I'm going to take Philadelphia as well. Mike, like you said, they're playing like the best team in the NFC right now. Jalen Hurts is playing out of his mind. I love what I'm seeing out of Hurts because I know that was pretty much their biggest question was they're loaded on both sides of the ball. They added A.J. Brown. Their offensive line may be the best in the NFL, but it's definitely one of the top 3 for sure, and they're healthy. You know, they run the ball. They're deep on defense. And, yeah, they just needed Jalen Hurts to take that next step. And he's done it through the first couple of weeks. I hope he keeps that going because if he does, this team is an actual true Super Bowl contender.
Well, I think we'd have saw those steps if they'd have had him A.J. Brown last year, too. It doesn't hurt to have an actual number 1 receiver because Aaron Rodgers doesn't look like Aaron Rodgers without Devontae Adams. So,
No.
Same thing. Bill Belichick, to be a great coach, needs some damn players.
Yeah, I mean, Rodgers looks different, but that's because aside from losing a player like Adams, they lost him and they didn't do anything to adequately replace him. So Rodgers is still Rodgers. The man is still putting it there. He's still making plays in the pocket, moving around. He's still Aaron Rodgers.
It's ugly the way you kiss his ass.
Yo, the man's is a legend. I don't know what you want me to do. And I'm a Lions fan. I should hate this guy, and I hate his guts. But
yeah, but there's really no reason to hate a man that only wins 1 Super Bowl.
Listen, I don't care about that. The 1 Super Bowl aside, the man.
I know you don't. You're a Lions fan. There's no way you would care about even getting to a Super Bowl.
Nah, but Rodgers is still Rodgers. He's just got to do it all. So we're not going to see the gaudy, 40 touchdowns, but he ain't throwing double-digit picks for another year. Team's going to be right. Rodgers is right. I love me some Rodgers. But, yeah.
All right, next up, we got the Saints at the Panthers. The Panthers are getting 3 points, Dan. After what we saw last week, it may only be 3 points scored in this game.
I hate this. Carolina sucks. I know New Orleans didn't look great, and Jameis Winston threw a bunch of picks.
Well, he's also hurt. He's hurt. Alvin Kamara's hurt, so, yeah.
Yeah, but Carolina's just bad. You want to talk about bad coaching for Cincinnati? Rule might be the worst coach in the NFL, and I think you mentioned that already last week.
Well, I think I mentioned it a couple of years ago when they hired him because he was a college coach that wasn't that impressive.
That too, but Matt Rule sucks. The coaching is another situation where the coaching is holding this team back. New Orleans all the way.
Yeah, I think this will be a sloppy, low-scoring game that will come down to turnovers, red zone execution. I'm going to go with New Orleans just because Matt Rule's the coach of Carolina. I think this will be like a 17 or 20-13, 17-13 game. I'm going to go with the Saints, Steve.
Ditto. I'm going to take Saints.
Ditto.
All right, three straight games again that we're in lockstep. Here we go.
Oh, that's probably bad for all of us. We'll have a 4-13 week. Or 4-12 week. Next up, we've got the Houston Texans at the Chicago Bears. Another outstanding game to predict. Texans and Bears. Bears are favored by 2.5 points. I'll start this off. The Texans defense has played well. Yeah, that's about it. Davis Mills, I think, he's taken some lumps. I mean, passing game has been limited a little bit. Dameon Pierce, I think, is huge in this game. He's starting to rev up in the run game. The Bears offense looks lost around Justin Fields because there's not enough playmakers there for him to not look lost. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go with the Houston Texans. I'm going to take the 2.5 points on the road. I think the Texans will beat them. I think Davis Mills is better than Justin Fields. I think the Texans defense is solid. I think Dameon Pierce is going to have a big day. Texans win, but I will take the 2.5 points, Steve.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, but damn it, I don't want Houston to win. But smart bet is taking Houston in the points. I agree with you. I'll take Houston.
Yeah, because I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of points scored here, anyways. Dan?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Houston as well. I wish I could pick Chicago. I still like Justin Fields, but they're doing that kid no favors. The coaching isn't good. The play calling isn't good. The offensive line sucks.
And really, if Trey Lance gets hurt in the first quarter against the Bears are probably 0-2 because Jimmy G would come in and save today like he did this week.
Maybe, but it's ugly in Chicago. It's so bad. I feel so bad for Justin Fields, man. Just sabotage.
I mean, he's still got. I mean, even if they cut him and he never plays again, he's got like $30 million. He'll be fine. I don't feel too bad for him. I feel bad for homeless people because they lost their jobs. All right, next up, we've got the Jaguars at the Chargers. The Chargers are -7 right now. But to me, this is a tricky game. The Chargers came off a tough loss against the Chiefs. The Jaguars are coming off an emotional shutout victory over the Colts. And, Justin Herbert, his ribs have been beat up a little bit. I think Herbert and Eckler should have their way with the Jaguars defense. And I think Trevor Lawrence is going to face a much tougher pass rush. I'm going to take the Chargers here because I don't think Trevor Lawrence is ready for this. And that's not a shot at Trevor Lawrence. I do see some progression with Trevor Lawrence, but I don't think that they can hold up on the road on the coast against the Chargers. Dan? But I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think we're going to see something like 34-24.
See, this is a tough game to pick for me because aside from what you mentioned on both ends, the Chargers got some injury problems they got to worry about. J.C. Jackson didn't practice today. He's got an ankle injury he's still dealing with. Keenan Allen was limited with a hamstring injury that cost him last game.
You know what? I think Mike Williams gets vastly underrated with this team. I think Mike Williams is still a number one receiver when you lose Keenan Allen.
Whenever Keenan Allen goes down, Mike Williams dominates. Every time Allen misses a game, as far as I remember, Mike Williams always steps up. And he stepped up last week in a big way. So yes, it's nice to have that Mike Williams there, but you'd like a healthy Keenan Allen, let's be honest. Corey Lindsey, the center, didn't practice. Justin Herbert's got a rib issue he's dealing with. He was limited. He'll play, but, if he gets a couple of bad shots early, it might be a different game. 7's a big line, but I don't really think it matters regardless of Herbert or Allen or any of these guys. They're just better than Jacksonville. I'm with you. I like Jacksonville's potential moving forward now that they have an actual head coach.
Yeah, Doug Peterson, I would like to add. I would love to have him in Cincinnati. I think he is maybe the best play caller in the NFL.
The man's got a Super Bowl. He won it with Nick Foles, and he made a lot of good calls during that Super Bowl run. So why not? But I'm gonna go with the Chargers here.
All right, Steve.
Yeah, I'm going with the Chargers.
Steve's a man of few words tonight.
Well,
I know we were supposed to keep it shorter, but Dan doesn't listen. So I was doing. Dan doesn't.
No, you guys said everything. I would say if I was, But yeah, I think that the Chargers are going to unleash their pass rush on Trevor Lawrence, and it's a lot different than don't gauge the Jaguars. I think what you saw last week against the Colts. Because
the Jaguars played tough on the road the first week. They could easily be 2-0 right now. But Steve, we'll go ahead and start off with you. We've got a rematch in the 1975 NFC Divisional Playoffs as the Rams travel not to St. Louis, but to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. The Cardinals are getting 4 points, and I would like to bring up the fact that the Rams are why I won last week over you guys, or at least over Steve. So because I picked against them and took the points, and the Falcons hung with them. And I think the Rams have major defensive issues. Steve, Rams at Cardinals, Rams favored by 4.
I'll give up to 4 and take the Rams.
Ready? Dan.
So, Mike, you went with Arizona?
I haven't went with anybody yet.
You haven't went with anybody?
Steve picked it first. I was first bringing up the fact that last week, I think me and you both took the Falcons in the points, didn't we?
No, I did not.
Oh, so that was just me. So that was the difference then.
You and Steve picked the Falcons.
Okay, it was me and Steve. Good job, Steve.
But now I'm going to go with Arizona. I still think the Rams are the more talented team on paper, but the Rams' offensive line isn't doing them any favors at all. They've been just not good the first 2 weeks of the season so far. I'm not worried about Stafford, but there's something missing with this Rams team. I don't want to believe losing Von
Miller and Odell Beckham.
I don't want to believe losing those two guys are going to have this big of an impact on this team. They're not quite right. And as much as Arizona has their own problems at head coach, their own problems all over the place, I think this is a game where Kyler Murray can at least keep it close. Even if the Rams win the game, I don't like that 4. So I'm going to go with Arizona.
All right, I'm going to actually, for the first time in a year, I'm going to take the Rams because I think the Cardinals' pass defense is suspect to say the least. They had some success. They found a few answers against the Raiders late, but I think they're still overmatched here. I think Kyler Murray, what I remember from Kyler Murray the last time they played the Rams was maybe the worst performance I've ever seen in a playoff game by a guy that's supposed to be a franchise quarterback, and that's including the game where Brett Favre threw like 7 picks against the Rams. He looked scared to death, and I know they're at home, but I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the Rams and give the 4 points, Steve.
Steve took the Rams first.
Oh, Dan, did you pick?
Yeah.
All right. Next game. Man. Next up, we've got the Atlanta Falcons at the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle is favored by 2 points. I'll start this off. The Falcons went to the limit with the Saints and the Rams. They don't have a win to show for it. Marcus Mariota has not played terrible. Seattle sucks. All right. The fact that Denver hired, Coach Hackett. He should be Buddy Hackett, which Steve will get that joke and Dan won't. But Nathaniel Hackett got the job because of nepotism, because that's how the NFL works, which is why most of these teams don't have coaching. And his dad was a coach in the NFL for 30 or 40 years. That's why he's there. And that's in Denver. And that's why Denver sucks. And Seattle sucks. But what I'm trying to get here is this. Seattle won a game because Nathaniel Hackett was the coach on the other sideline. I don't think Seattle wins hardly any more games. I think Seattle has a top 4 or 5 pick by the time this year is over. They will have a new coach next year, a new quarterback, and they'll have a chance. So with that being said, I'm going to take the Falcons into 2 points, and I actually think the Falcons will win this game, Dan.
I agree. I'm going to go with Atlanta. And for me, the biggest issue with Seattle is, they got the offensive weapons at receiver, and they're committed to running the ball. That much we'll always know, but their offensive line is bad. Their defensive line is just as bad. They have no difference makers up front. And as much as we like to talk about quarterbacks and edge rushers and corners, I mean, Mike, you're a coach. You know how important it is to be good in the trenches and how important it is to be good up front on defense and up front on offense. And I mean, even as a fan, look at like the Bengals, for example. Their offensive line, yes, their coaching's holding them back, but the offensive line is doing them absolutely no favors, and it's holding that team back.
Actually, with the Bengals, I think the bigger issue is the plays that are called. Because when you watch the all-22 Bengals, there's a lot of like deep digs. There's stuff there that takes a while. You got to have a good offensive line instead of just getting the ball out quick. And you can throw the ball deep in 2 seconds. You got Jamar Chase. You run him down the field, take the snap, take 2 steps back, launch it. That's what they did last year at the end of the season. So a lot of that's schematic. But Leo Collins was a bad signing. He's a guard, and he's a guy that's hurt. His back is hurt right now. Jonah Williams is a horrible, horrible offensive tackle in the NFL. Cordell Volson was a 4th-round pick that should have been a rookie free agent that plays in the USFL next year. But there you go. And if you want to hear more of that, our Bengals show with former Bengal Joe Kelly will be later on. Well, we're not doing it live because I figured we would run over here, guys, but we are down to our last game. Steve, did you pick Atlanta Seattle yet? I don't think
he did not.
Did you? Okay.
I just wanted to say, first off, Buddy Hackett was a great actor in the 60s and 70s. 2 big films he made. It's a mad, 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 mad world. Spencer Tracy, where they actually were chasing some pot of gold that was buried somewhere.
Isn't Isn't that a song, Mad World?
No, nothing to do with that.
There is a song called that, but it has nothing to do with them.
Nothing to do with it.
Got it.
And he also was a big part of the Love Bug series.
We won't hold that against him, though, Steve. Go ahead.
No, I know. But, no, I agree with you guys. Although Seattle's playing in Seattle, and they got the 12th man there, which always disrupts a lot of things. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Atlanta with you guys.
All right.
All right, the last game of the week, the San Francisco 49ers at the Denver Broncos. I mean, the Broncos are a mess. And I think the 49ers have the same formula they had last year. If they could get George Kittle back, I don't even think this game's in question. I think the 49ers win the game. What do you think, Steve?
What's the spread?
San Francisco
1.5.
1.5.
San Francisco's giving up 1.5?
Yes.
Yeah. Garoppolo's back. I'm fine with San Francisco all the way. This team's going to get good real quick.
Didn't that used to be a song? Garoppolo's back and you're going to be in trouble. Hey now, my Garoppolo's back.
I don't know
All
if
right, Dan.
my boyfriend's back or if Garoppolo's back, but they both work.
Yeah. So it's Garoppolo.
That's awesome.
But, all right. 49ers at Broncos, Dan. I mean, you're
I'll take
always
the
high on the
49ers.
Broncos, and you would have to be high to take the Broncos now, too.
Yeah, it's the Denver Broncos are another team. I'm going to take San Francisco, but it's mostly because of what Denver's working with on the coaching side. It is so bad. Hackett is way over his head. Another week of questionable calls, terrible game clock management, just everything just bad. They want to unleash Russell Wilson, but
They haven't yet.
I don't know. I don't know what they're waiting for.
I mean, it looks like the same crap Russell Wilson had to put up with Pete Carroll in Seattle.
That's exactly what I was thinking when I was watching that. And it doesn't help that Jerry Jeudy, I think, is kaput. They were already injured at receiver. So now it's Courtland Sutton and nobody. And as much as I love Russell Wilson and I had high hopes for Denver, I can't trust them right now. I'm going to go San Francisco. Jimmy's back. For better or for worse, I think that has a positive effect. I'll go.
All right, guys. And Steve, I think you guys are doing a NASCAR show tonight somewhere around 10 o'clock, aren't you?
Are we?
I think so. Because I remember when I was setting these shows up, I asked Joe, and he said, I think we're doing it tonight. Because you guys are always on top of that NASCAR show stuff.
Yeah, we are.
I think this whenever Joe wakes up, he says, hey, let's do a NASCAR show. And then he calls everybody. But all right, guys, we're going to go ahead.
It's whenever he's not arresting Otis, the town drunk in VV, Indiana.
Oh, no, he's a detective. He doesn't do the town drunks.
Oh, he doesn't? Well, Barney Fife was a detective, too.
Okay. Actually,
All right.
one more thing from my end. I have some good news, buds. I know you guys have wanted me to watch.
You're getting married?
No. I know you guys wanted me to watch. What's that old movie, that Western movie you guys wanted me to see?
Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles. Yes, it's on Hulu. It's actually on Hulu right now.
Did
And
you watch it?
I did not, but I saw it today, and I'm like, I'm going to watch it tonight, and I want to let these guys know. So next week,
Watch it tonight.
I'm going to watch it tonight.
If
and
you
I'm gonna
watch
text
it,
you
don't
guys.
tweet about it or anything because
Nope.
it is so canceled probably if they tried to do it today.
No,
you would-
absolutely. I think I told you guys before. I watched the first 5 minutes, and I was like, whoo, this is definitely made a long.
I can't even believe Hulu's got it on their lineup.
Yo, yeah, I mean,
It's that bad.
Hulu every day. They have some good shows and whatnot, but I saw that and I was like, no fucking way. I got to watch this now.
What's your
Now
language, Dan? We're live and there's kids watching.
there's no excuse for me. Sorry, kids, but there's no excuse now. So I'm gonna watch it and I'm excited and we're gonna talk about it.
All right, guys, we'll be back next Wednesday at the same bat time on the same bat channel. You can follow us on Twitter at grueling_truth. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you check out PointsBet, the best online casino for betting this week's games. And remember, betting.net is not just sports betting. Betting.net compares the best online casinos. Sit back, relax, and play the top online slots, poker, and table games. Check out betting.net. But for now, for Steve Risley, Dan Kornhauser, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends